Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I just took a sip. I just went to Circle K and I got some pumpkin maple coffee, and it is good. Every time the fall comes, I like to go by Circle K. Usually they have like a pumpkin spice coffee. I kind of like it. I drink it black. I don't put any sugar and all that stuff in it, but it's got a good taste to it. Okay, XRP's trying to start creeping back up. I think the whole market is. We're back up to 3.9 trillion. I'm hoping it stays down for a little bit because I'm about to go to my sponsor. I'm going to send an email to my broker at Caleb & Brown, who is my sponsor, and I'm going to say, hey, buy me a bunch of XRP with that cash I got sitting there, but I need a little more time. So, if you would like to have your own broker that you can either email, call, or send a direct message to now through their app, and you'd like to have institutional grade custody for free, and you'd like to have institutional grade liquidity for when you decide to sell, if you decide to sell, go to xrpwealth589.com, and then you can click sign up today like I did and open an account. That's one of the places I keep my XRP. Look, bullish White House official Patrick Witt says crypto market structure bill is expected to pass in 2025. Of course it is. It's national security, folks. And then we've got this. Morgan Stanley, I told you 7 years ago, I said, this is back when they were writing articles about how crypto is going to go to zero and all this kind of stuff. Goldman Sachs was putting out that kind of stuff. And I said, not only are they coming, not only are they talking their book, and not only are they all going to come into crypto, some of them are going to come into crypto. They're all going to come into crypto, and that's exactly what you're seeing now. Morgan Stanley, where I used to be a financial advisor, is preparing to launch crypto trading for retail clients via E-Trade in the first half. I'm not a financial advisor now, but I was at Morgan Stanley back when those two you-know-whats were still standing before the planes and all that. I can't say that on YouTube or they'll censor me. So here we go, folks. How do you unlock real-time liquidity for institutional assets with RLUSD? Our new partnership with Securitize will allow holders of BlackRock's BIDL and VanEck's VBIL to instantly exchange their shares for RLUSD, thereby preserving exposure to on-chain yield and other DeFi capabilities. Securitize is also integrating with the XRP ledger to expand access and utility to the XRP ecosystem. This is how we're building the infrastructure for a more efficient, compliant, on-chain future. So I gave you a picture of my igloo in South Georgia and said, if you still think BlackRock is only interested in Bitcoin, I have this beautiful igloo for sale in South Georgia, and you would be a perfect buyer. Temperatures here get into the 80s and 90s, folks. It's a 24-hour igloo. Brad Garlinghouse weighs in, very excited to share BlackRock's BIDL and VanEck's VBIL. Tokenized fund holders can redeem shares for RLUSD, ETH 24/7 365 through Securitize, soon to come to RLUSD XRP Ledger. Enterprise-grade instant on-chain liquidity at your fingertips. That's real utility. Jack McDonald weighs in, ending Q3 on a high note through Ripple's partnerships with Securitize. RLUSD is now a key stablecoin off-ramp for BlackRock's BIDL and VanEck's VBIL tokenized fund holders. Integration starting with ETH. Through Securitize is planning to integrate with XRP Ledger. Then Monica Long weighs in. Last week we announced DBS and Franklin Templeton using RLUSD as liquid, stable, compliant exchange mechanism for tokenized assets and lending and trading use cases. This week, Securitize added RLUSD as a new off-ramp for BlackRock and VanEck's tokenized funds. And then here's the SEC chairman on Maria Bartiromo this morning.
Particularly when it comes to the complexity of crypto market structure. And I want to get your take on that, Mr. Chairman, because the Senate Banking Committee has indicated that the committee is going to delay a vote on market structure legislation until the week of October 20th to give Democrats more time to negotiate. Of course, it looks like the Republicans will need the Democrat support to get this over the finish line. What is your expectation for the crypto market structure? What do you want to see play out once that does pass the finish line?
Well, I'm looking forward to Congress acting on this. I think it's important that we have a market structure bill, and we are actually helping. We were helping with the House, and now we're helping with the Senate as far as technical assistance on questions of securities law and that sort of thing, and gaps that we see that need to be filled. So we're going to continue doing that and provide all sorts of assistance. We're also part of the President's Working Group on Financial Markets that came out with a report here about a month or so ago, and so we're really stand behind that report, and so we want to see this get over the finish line, because the Genius Act, which was enacted by Congress and the President back about a month ago or so, I think was a huge step forward that applied to stable coins, and that's the first time that the United States government and the United States as in statutory form, has recognized a digital asset like stablecoins. So I think that was great. And now we need to focus on the market structure aspect so that there is certainty in the marketplace and direction to the SEC and the CFTC to work together. I anticipate joint rulemaking, and so that way we can try to future-proof this sort of these rules and the relationships from some rogue regulator or something in the future.
There was
our goal.
Wide support for that Genius Act, absolutely. The SEC approving the nation's first multi-crypto ETF as well, letting investors access a basket of cryptocurrencies beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum. Mr. Chairman, how is that fitting into your broader effort to create clearer rules for digital assets?
Well, that's another example of how we can move forward. We can allow generic listing standards, is what that big step was, where there's more certainty. It's not just an ad hoc type of approach, but we're trying to give the marketplace and some kind of stable platform upon which they can introduce new products. So that's a great example. We're going to be working on that. We'll be doing rulemaking in the coming months. We're looking for an innovation exemption to try to get that in place by year end. So there's a lot going on, and I'm really very excited about this opportunity to make this industry in America stand on firm ground so that America can lead with innovation as the president's called for.
Yeah.
Okay, got a lot more here. Listen to this. This is Charles Hoskinson. He's laying it down.
The United States is in a singular position of power there because we control the world markets from that dimension. But for the rest of the cryptocurrency stuff, the layer 1 stuff, layer 2 stuff, the GameFi stuff, the NFT stuff, Asia has really been a dominant force in guiding those markets, growing those markets. And when you look at a lot of Asian countries, whether it be Korea or Vietnam, you have at least a quarter of the population, in some cases more than 30%, that have bought cryptocurrencies and used cryptocurrencies. Now, what's really interesting, though, is even though you have a third of the country that's doing crypto, here in Korea in particular, about 66% of the population has less than $500 of crypto. So 66% of the holders of crypto. So you have a very broad but thin holdership. So when these regulations come in, what ends up happening is you go from a broad instead of thin to thick. And so a mass wealth transfer basically enters into the cryptocurrency markets. So the U.S. is going to have a very big role in that because it's going to institutionalize kind of the global standards. It'll get FATF off people's backs and the IMF off people's backs. And then we'll end up seeing the markets grow to 10 trillion and beyond, probably within the next 5 years because of it.
Okay, folks, listen up. This guy says, is Ripple truly a government deep state operation? That's interesting commentary.
No, Fast Bank. Tell us about Fast Bank.
This is not my volume, it's theirs. You're just going to have to listen up.
So I made the decision of what would it be like if we could put the banking industry directly on chain. So you've heard some of the other tokenized asset talks today. So the question is, instead of having like a circle or a tether in between, one of US banks put dollars directly on chain, including the XRP ledger. So that would mean that the ledger of record isn't some like old 50-year-old bank core, it's actually the blockchain. And so to do that, had to buy a US bank, and you can imagine, even though I'm ex-Federal Reserve, having worked at Ripple, made some other investments in crypto, it was not an easy lift, but last year we were finally...
Okay, you get the picture. We'll move on. And listen to this one. This is interesting right here. This is where we're at, folks.
Yeah, no, I am a fan of Bitcoin. I think it's going to rally. You know, it's a real asset. It is going to have real value in the future. The challenge is it doesn't transact. It doesn't solve the real world problems. There's other blockchain for that, but I think that Bitcoin is positioned well. It's just going to probably cool off for a second as real world applications come out here and new technology.
And I think what we haven't seen yet, that I still think we will eventually see, is a separation of wheat and chaff of, you know, what are the assets, how are these technologies being used to solve real problems that have real demand versus ones, you know, I'll pick on Dogecoin. I don't get it. You know, other than Elon Musk as the central actor, you know, I don't see the use case and the purpose, and I'm sure I'll get lots of shit.
Yeah, I'm used to it too, Brad. Because XRP is designed as a bridge asset for institutions, its trajectory won't always mirror Bitcoin's. Over time, it will decouple. XRP will carve out its own path driven by adoption, regulation, integration, and global finance. Now, folks, let me tell you what I think is going to happen possibly in the next year. I don't think you're going to be able to get XRP. I think that circulating supply, the stuff that's available to retail, I don't think you're going to be able to get it. And I'm going to show you why I think that in the group. That I do not think you're going to be able to get it. So I'm literally thinking about backing up the truck at least one or more times because I don't think you're going to be able to get it. And I think it's clear you're not going to be able to get it. And we're going to talk about that supply shock that I think is coming, maybe sooner rather than later. Go to daixrp.com to join through the Patreon, or you can join through YouTube. Click the join button below any of these videos, or you can also join through X by hitting the subscribe button. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.